and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for our debaters today. Yay! We'd like to welcome Gideon as the Prime Minister to give his first speech to not exceed also 3 minutes in length. Autumn will be your timekeeper for today, so just keep your eyes on her. And if you have any questions, hold them till the end because you're going to do just fine. All right, let's. Oh, is it not on? No. Should be. Turn it on. Did you turn it on? There you go. Turning it on helps. All righty. I think we are ready to go. Remember, this is a 3-minute speech. Ms. Timekeeper, are you ready? Okay. Mr. Speaker, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
My name is Gideon Davis. I'm the Prime Minister, and I'd like to thank my partner here. This is Bryan. He's the member of the government. I'd also like to thank the opposition for being here, and I'd like to thank the audience, the judges, and the timekeeper for their time and for listening to our debate. Our topic today is if you have an A in a class, should you or should you not have to take the final? And the government sides with that you should have to take the final, because our first point is just because you have an A doesn't mean that you remember everything in the class. You may be really good at studying, but it doesn't mean that you remember everything in the class. For example, you could get studying for just a smaller test, but overall it's more about comprehending and remembering everything in the class. And our second point is the final is a very good recap of everything that you learned in the class as well. So, in review, our first point is just because you have an A doesn't mean you remember everything in the class, and doesn't mean that and just because you can be studying, you're really good at studying for the long term, doesn't mean that you can remember everything for one single test. And our second point is that the final is a very good comprehensive recap because it's, again, everything in a very small or large test at one time. And I'd like to thank again, my partner, the opposition for being here, the audience, judges, and timekeeper, and vote for government.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. And time, please, timekeeper?
1:07.
1:07. Thank you very much. Will you please put 1 minute on the clock for Faith to prepare her first set of statements? Thank you so much, timekeeper. It's easier for you to count, I think, going up. Oh, like I want to know how long they've spoken for.
Okay.
I think it's easier to go from
Then
0.
107 was how much you had left.
Oh, 107 is how much he had left?
So it's 153.
So 153, okay.
So what was the actual thing? 153.
I'm sorry we didn't discuss that. Okay, and that was time? Okay, and time. All right, thank you very much. So yeah, my suggestion is count, like let the stopwatch go up while you count down. You know what I mean? So like when it hits 2 minutes, or you're doing one, yeah, right.
You know how much is left. So.
Right. So that first speech was 153, just so you know then. And we would like to then welcome Faith as the first speaker for the opposition with a speech that should not exceed 3 minutes. Please watch Autumn for your time. And Ms. Timekeeper, are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, I said timekeeper, but that's okay. Are you ready too? I'm glad you're ready too. Okay, good. You get it, girl. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
Hi, my name is Faith Mueller, and I am the leader of opposition. I'd like to thank my partner Micah for being here, and I'd like to thank the government for being here today for this debate, and I'd also like to thank the audience, timekeeper, and judges for being here for this debate. The topic of debate is if you have an A in the class, should you or should you not take the finals at the end of the year or semester? And the opposition says that you should not have to take the final at the end of the semester. So our first point is we should not take the final because it just adds a lot of stress to everything at the end of the year when people are already stressed about going home, or people could be like just really like upset, and like especially seniors who could be really like upset about leaving their friends behind, and so they might be up really late crying and stressed about these finals when they could be focusing on other things like just like trying to figure out where they want to go for college. And the second point is the government stated that it could be a very good recap of everything that we learned over the year. But the opposition thinks that we already learned about everything and don't need to learn about it again, even especially since you could have the A's in the class. Because if you have A's, it obviously means that you're doing pretty well and you remember everything. For review, I'd like to say that we shouldn't take the final for a first point because it adds a lot of stress. And the second point is we already learned about everything, so we shouldn't have to learn about it again. And I'd like to thank my partner again for being here, the government, the timekeeper, audience, and judges, and vote for opposition.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Let's give a round of applause. And time, please, timekeeper?
150.
150. Thank you very much. Miss Timekeeper, will you go ahead and please put 1 minute on the clock for Bryan to prepare his arguments, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and welcome Bryan to the microphone, please, with a round of applause as the second speaker for the government. We'd like to remind Mr. Speaker and Ms. Timekeeper that this is a speech that should, again, not exceed 3 minutes in length. Ms. Timekeeper, are you ready? Okay, Mr. Speaker, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Hello everyone, my name is Bryan, and first of all I'd like to thank my partner Gideon for being here supporting me, and also the opposite side for being here, and the audience, judge, and timekeeper. Today's topic for the debate is if the student got A on the class, should or should not taking final. As a government side, we think that students should still take a final. Like the first point the opposite side just said, if they, at the end of the semester, the student may not have a lot of time for preparing the final, but as our side, we think if you already got the A, that means you are not really have to use a lot of time to preparing for students' final, so you don't need to worry about like spending a lot of time on the final preparing because you are already good at it. And that is why the reason for the final is making sure the students still remember the things they already learned and still good at it. The second point, they say if you got an A, that means you are good, so you don't really have to take final. But for like some of subject like math, you are learning the different function of the different things for the different unit, and like at the final, some of the question use a lot of function, and like you learn from the different unit and to solve the question. So like the final is to combine everything and that you to solve the question or prove your teacher that you learned that and you're really good at it. I would like to review. The first point is that if you're already good at the subject, you don't have to use a lot of time for preparing a final. The second point is that some of the subject you will use a lot of unit and to maybe solve like one question. So that is kind of proof to your teacher you really know how to use the different unit and to the student to fix the question. And at the end, I would like to thank my partner and the opposite side and everyone here. And please vote for government.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. And time, please, timekeeper.
2:42.
2:42. Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Timekeeper, will you please put 1 minute on the clock for Micah to prepare his arguments, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Timekeeper. All right, we'd like to go ahead and welcome Micah as the second speaker for the opposition with a round of applause. We'd also like to remind both Mr. Speaker and Ms. Timekeeper again that this speech should not exceed just 3 minutes in length. Ms. Timekeeper, are you ready? Okay, fabulous. Mr. Speaker, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
Hi, my name is Micah, and I am a member of the opposition. I would like to thank my partner, Faith, the government, the audience, the judges, and the timekeeper. The topic is whether or not you should have to take a final if you already have an A in the class. The government, or as the opposition, we say that you should not have to. But the government says that you should, because you should not have to prepare and worry about it because you already have an A. But to refute that, it's still a test, and you still should have to prepare for it no matter what, and it could bring a lot of stress to you. And their second point was that it will show your teacher what you know, and since there's so many units in the class, that there's different things you have to learn. And to refute that, we wanted to say that since your teacher already knows that you have an A in the class, they should know what you know, or they should know that you have learned a lot and that you still have an A. To review, I would like to say that we think that since you you still have to prepare for your test because it is a test and it will bring stress to you. And our second point is that your teacher should know that you have an A in the class and that you have learned a lot. And I would like to thank my partner, the government, the audience, the judges, and the timekeeper, and vote for the opposition.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. And time, please, timekeeper.
1:48.
1:48. Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Timekeeper, will you please put 1 minute on the clock for Faith to prepare her final statements? Thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Timekeeper. Let's go ahead and give a round of applause for Faith and her final speech for this debate. We'd like to remind both Ms. Speaker and Ms. Timekeeper that this speech should only not exceed 2 minutes only in length, okay? So we're knocking it back to 2 minutes. Ms. Timekeeper, are you ready? Yes? All right, Ms. Speaker, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Hi, my name is Faith Mueller, and I am the leader of opposition. I'd like to thank my partner for being here today, the government for being here today, and the audience, timekeeper, and judges. The topic that we are debating is whether or not you should take the final at the end of the year or semester if you have an A in the class. And we chose to say that you don't have to take the final. In review of what Micah said, the first point is we still should not have, it still takes time to prepare for a test whether or not you know it or not, because just because you have an A in the class doesn't mean that you should not study for it, and it could still cause a lot of stress in people's lives at the end of the school year. And we are aware that some people could possibly be staying up really late at night studying when they should be sleeping and being prepared for it, but it's a lot of stress and probably shouldn't add more to the end of the school year. And the second point is, if you already have an A in the class, the teachers are aware that you have an A in the class and they know that you know what you're talking about. And possibly the teachers could talk to you after class, and they know who tries usually in the class and who doesn't based on their grades. So they shouldn't have to give you a final if you already have an A in the class, because they know what you know. In review, the first point, we still have to prepare a lot in the test and still cause stress. And the second point is you already have an A in the class and the teachers know. And I'd like to thank my partner, the government, the audience, timekeeper, and judges. And please vote for opposition.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Kate. And time, please, timekeeper.
1:46.
1:46. Thank you very much. Will you please put one more minute on that clock, Ms. Timekeeper, for Gideon to prepare his statements, please? Thank you so much. 1:46. 8?
For Micah.
Oh, Micah's. I'm sorry, 1:48, yes. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Timekeeper. All right, let's welcome Gideon as the final speaker for our debate today. We'd like to remind Mr. Speaker and Ms. Timekeeper again that this speech should not exceed 2 minutes in length. Ms. Timekeeper, are you ready? Yes. All right, Mr. Speaker, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
All right, first I'd like to thank my partner, the opposition, the audience, the judge, and the timekeeper. The topic today is, should we or should we not have to take a final in class if we have an A? The government believes that we should still have to take the final. The opposition stated that we should not because it adds stress at the end of the year, and for the first point, and then for the second point, because they already know the material. The government believes that just because you have an A doesn't mean you remember everything, and that the final is a good comprehensive recap. Now, to address what the opposition says, even if it's this is a preparatory school, so it should encourage stress, so we can tell how we handle ourselves while we are under stress. And for their second point, even if teachers know you have an A, they should also test what you know to see if you remember from the beginning of the semester. Now, to review, our first point, the first point was just because you have an A doesn't mean you remember everything, And our second point is the final is a good comprehensive recap. I'd like to thank my partner, the opposition, the audience, judges, and timekeeper, and vote for government.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. And time, please, timekeeper.
1:30.
1:30. All right, how about one more hand and a round of applause for our debaters today? Yay, thank you very much. Okay.